Hey everyone, welcome back, and today we're here with the Doomfletch update, and I've got really good news. The build is even better than it was in 3.15 and it's much tankier, and I'll explain how. Now you're probably wondering, 2.6k live, 2.5k live, that's too squishy, but I promise you, I will prove it to you that this build is really tanky, and I will show you later on in the video a Nemesis 3 map where it's very juiced up, very dangerous, and with Scourged stacks like 200 plus. I'll show you all of that later on in the video, so make sure that you stay tuned for that, and I'll just show you a normal map as well, and I'll explain all the testing I've done and how I've come to the conclusions I have. I've done a lot of testing with this build, and there's a lot of things that you guys need to know, because there were some comments on my last video on things like taking chain and stuff like that, and about Pain Seeker as well, and I'll give you guys all the information you need to know about that. So this video is actually going to be quite a long one because I'm going to be explaining a lot of things. I'll be putting timestamps in the description and you'll see them on the video as well if you want to skip to certain parts. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So it's going to be kind of a build guide, but not really, because you don't see the gameplay yet, and normally my build guides are a bit different, but it's still going to be quite in depth like a build guide. And yeah, let's get into it. So first off, we will cover the gear, and then I'll go into the links, and I'll explain why my body armor has no links later as well, so just stay tuned for that if you want to know why. But yeah, basically you don't need the links in your body armor. It's just I was testing something out. So first off, we have a Onslaught Doomfletch. Now you don't need an Onslaught one, but I think for mapping in general, Onslaught feels really good to have up permanently, so that's why I like to have that there. Now you can also go for faster projectiles, or you can go for bow attacks via additional arrow. It's up to you what you want to go in your implicit, and this cost me 1 exalt. Now this is gonna go up in price if this video gets a lot of attraction, so just be careful with that, and you don't need the corrupt or any corrupt if you don't want. It's completely up to you. It's not essential, it's just very nice because Onslaught gives you 20% attack speed and movement speed, and that feels really smooth while mapping, and just in general makes the build feel a bit faster. And now we'll go into the helmet. We're still using an Ascendancy chant. It's really good, and now this helmet is actually really expensive with the Tornado Shot enchant, so you know, get it if you can. If you can't, it's not too big of a deal, you should be okay. But this does increase your damage quite a bit. Next off, we have the Quiver. Now this Quiver is actually really expensive again, and I'll teach you how to make it. Alright guys, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Quiver with Craft of Exile. I hope it's very clear. So first off, you need a base, and there's a couple of ways of going about it. So first off, you have this Quiver over here. Now this Quiver, I priced it at 15x because it's actually pretty good. Now the reason why it's so expensive is because the prefixes are almost perfect. You can see it's got T2 life, but it's really high roll. It's got T1 wed and bow attacks for additional arrow. So you need to find a Quiver like this that has really good prefixes. Now if you don't want to spend this much on a Quiver, because this is worth about 15 exalts. Now if you don't want to spend that much to get the base, what you can do is get Shaper Quivers, and you want to go and just scour alch them. Make sure they're 86, scour alch them until you hit 2 of the mods with bow attacks via additional arrow. For example, you need to hit bow attacks via additional arrow with life, or bow attacks via additional arrow with wed, or elemental damage with attacks. And once you do that, you need to craft the other one. So you need an empty prefix as well. So for example, if you get life, bow attacks via additional arrow, you need to craft on the Quiver elemental damage with attack skills. Once you do that, you need to go into harvest and do reforge more likely until you hit something like this. Now this can take a very long time and cost a lot of currency and a lot of TFTing. So if you don't want to do that, you can just buy a base. So let's copy this base into Craft of Exile. I'm just going to reprice it. So Broadhead is the best for this build because we already have capped crit. But let me go in Craft of Exile. So you want to import item here, and I'll just show you how to make it. So say you've got a base with perfect prefixes over here. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is go to your suffixes and go to the bench craft, and then you will do prefixes cannot be changed. and then you want to go on harvest crafting and you want to re-roll critical. And you want to keep re-rolling critical until you hit something you're happy with. Now, every time you're not happy with something, you have to recraft prefixes cannot be changed and go again. So for me, I actually, on my quiver, I hit T1 crit chance, and the reason I didn't keep going was simply because I didn't want to spend an extreme amount of currency on the quiver, because to get T1 multi or like a high multiplier on the reforge crit is a very low chance, so I preferred not to do that. And like, there's another thing about rolling crit, it's actually really bad because you can't unveil something that's extra good, and you have to settle with the double attack speed like I've done over here, which is not as bad. But let me just tell you the ideal scenario. So what you want to do is keep reforging until you hit multi. So once you hit multi like this, T2, it might take you a few tries, and it costs a lot of exalts on the way because you have to keep doing prefixes cannot be changed. Now you have to do a 50-50 gamble. You do prefixes cannot be changed again, and then you go and do a Syndicate Aisling Veil, and you need to make sure that you hit the prefixes cannot be changed, and if you don't, you need to do prefixes cannot be changed is still on there, and you do Reforge crit again to get the crit chance back, and then you do it again, prefixes cannot be changed, so that you can unveil a good suffix. So once you're in this position, so I failed this time, but say for example that you didn't fail, this happens, then what you can do is go to your bench and suffixes and just craft something that you don't want the quiver to roll with the unveil. So what you can do is maybe craft dex and int, for example. If you do this, you're going to block that from rolling on the suffix, and then you click unveil, and then you really want this mod over here. Increase global crit chance, 27 elemental damage. And once you have this, you want to remove this craft and then simply just craft attack speed. It's very, very nice, this quiver. And there you go. So this is the optimal quiver. This is extremely expensive, but this is optimal. If you roll crit chance over here instead of multi, so let's go a few stages back so I can show you what to do if you roll crit chance instead of multi. So say for example, you rolled crit chance over here. Now, obviously T7 is bad, but say for example you don't want to spend any more currency and you just want to get this quiver done. Then say you roll crit chance here, you just want to go Aisling Veil, and you want to make sure you remove the 50-50 and you remove the prefixes cannot be changed, and then you want to go again and craft dex and in or whatever that will block the mod. Then you want to unveil attack and cast speed, remove this craft, and then you can also craft attack speed on top, which is super nice. So this is the type of quiver I'm running over here. You can see here that we've got double attack speed, wed, life, and arrow. So it's up to you which one you want to go for, but obviously the one I showed before with multi is the best one you could possibly get for this build. Of course with T1 multi instead of T2. But that is how you make the quiver, and I hope that is informative enough for you. And if you're wondering whether these bases are worth it, they are, because I think that Scour Alking is good, but then the problem is going and constantly buying Reforge more likely is really annoying on TFT. So this will save you a lot of hassle, but it is a very expensive investment. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Alright, so that's the quiver covered. Now I'll go into the amulet. So this amulet is really easy to make. You want to get a fractured agate amulet, ideally with multiplier, or maybe a different mod like physical damage or elemental damage with attack skills. Just get a decent damage fracture on here, and then what you want to do is what I did with this one specifically is I did Essence of Contempt. With the essences over here, I use these ones until I hit T1 life or T2 life, and some empty prefix, so I could craft elemental damage with attacks. So that's super nice as well. As you can see, this is a very offensive amulet, and if you're on a really tight budget and you don't want to use this, what you can do is use a amulet called Hyri's Truth. It's like 10C for this amulet. And this amulet is, quite good, and it also gives you some precision reservation efficiency, which is kind of nice too. But yeah, just use that if you're on a tight budget. It's like 10C. Okay, now we'll go into the rings. I'm gonna also teach you how to make this chest piece as well, but it's also very expensive. But let's get into the rings first. So to make these rings is super easy. All you want to do is use Essence of Scorn. This essence just gives you multi on rings, and you keep spamming them until you hit like life that you're happy with and other things. For example, on this we hit all res and we were able to craft elemental damage with attack skills, which is super nice. And then on the other ring we did the same thing, but this time we rolled a lot of resist and wed, so I just crafted life because the rest of the ring is really good. Okay, let's go into how to craft this chest piece. Now this chest piece is kind of luck based because I hit suppress spell damage on the Awakener Orb, and that's one way of getting suppression. The other way is through unveiling, but the problem with that is that the roll is lower and you don't want that unveil. You'd prefer to have another prefix. So I'll just show you how to make this. I'll just show you the easiest way and how to go about it. And you don't want to buy these chest pieces unless it has suppressed spell damage, because they're actually very expensive. Okay, so let's go in emulator. So first off, you want a body armor over here, and you want to make sure it's the dex one. You want an assassin's garb, so buy a 6-link assassin's garb off the market, and you want to quality up as much as you can. So say you have this base, you're like already step 1 of the way there. You want to just alch it, or make sure it's alched, and then what you want to do is use a Redeemer's Exalt on it, because it's always cheaper to do this, to buy the Assassin's Garb separately to the Exalt, than to buy a 6-link Redeemer Assassin's Garb. People just charge extra for it for no reason. So now what you want to do is you want to alt spam it until you hit Frenzy Charge on hit. So you just spam this chest piece, until you hit Frenzy Charge on hit. And once you do that, I'm just going to artificially put it on here. But once you do that, then you're ready to, this chest piece is almost ready to go. So now let me just put Frenzy Charge on hit over here. So say you have this base, perfect. If it's augmented like this is also fine. Just make sure that the other mod isn't Redeemer. It just needs to not be Redeemer, the other mod, and then you should be good to go. Okay, so say you have this base. Now you want another base. We'll create it over here. So you want a body armor that it doesn't matter what it is, because this isn't the base that you're going to be using. It's just something you're going to use to get an attack crit. So just put anyone. Let's just say we have maybe a sun plate, for example, and you need to make sure it's hunter, and it doesn't need to be eye level 100 either. It can be lower. I think the lowest it needs to be is like 75 or something. And then you want to basically, this doesn't have to be 6-link, by the way, and then you want to keep alt spamming until you hit attack crit, which is also a suffix. So you go here, and as you can see, this is T2, so you do need a higher level, it looks like, of attack crit. So we're going to have to a higher eye level. So I'm just going to reset this. And actually what you could do instead is you could actually just search for attack crit over here. And then attack crit, and what you can do is you can do 1.1 because that's the roll, and now it needs to be hunter, and I know it can roll on elder, but the reason it needs to be hunter is because you need to use a hunter base to get additional curse later, which is only on a hunter base and it's not on elder. So say you have this and you can look for like non-corrupted over here. So what you can do, these bases are pretty cheap usually. You can see it's like 15C, stuff like that. Whoops. It's like 15C, 1C here. And yeah, and make sure when you buy them that it doesn't have another hunter mod, right? This is really important. You can see of the hunt is there. Let me just try and find one that has 2 hunter mods, maybe. Maybe there isn't one available right now. But make sure that you make sure that there's only 1 hunter mod on here, because otherwise you're going to be gambling with the Awakener's Orb. So yeah, say you have your base. Let me just restart this. What we'll do now is we'll go and check what eye level the body armor has to be. So if you go on to attack crit, you can see that we need an eye level 84 base. Okay, so what we'd have to do is refresh this, go on emulator, go create item, we'll go body armor and strength. So say you want to alt spam it yourself, it's probably cheaper than 15C if you really want. You can go and do this. So you get a hunter, eye level 84 minimum base. Okay, So what you do, you go here and you alt spam until you hit T1 attack rate, which is 1.1 and above. And I'm just going to artificially add it on here. And then when you add it on here, you might have another mod which is completely fine as long as it's not Hunter on it. So yeah, once you have this base, you're almost ready to go. I'm just going to export it here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click the Awakener Orb on this Lordy plate or whatever one that has attack crit, and then you're going to paste it onto or click onto the Assassin's Garb, and you need to make sure you do it in that order, and then we'll awaken it. So this is what we hit. We unfortunately hit this suffix, which we can't do anything about, and when I did it, I hit spell suppression. That's why my body armor, I said I got lucky. But if you hit whatever suffix you get, you cannot do anything about. And if you do want to do something about it, it's very expensive. Okay, so what you want to do with this base is you want to do, you still want to do suffixes cannot be changed. But now you want to do a reroll caster. Now, reroll caster will guaranteed additional curse. And you want to make sure you don't hit this additional prefix here. That's really, really bad if you do. And if you do hit the additional prefix, you need to go again. And then you need to go again, unless you're happy with this prefix. So for example, you hit this over here. What you could do is just craft a life and use a chest piece and you're done. Like if you hit a really good prefix, like this is a really good prefix, so you'd keep it. But let's just say you hit like a normal chest would, you hit something like this. Now you do suffixes cannot be changed, you do Aisling Veil, and you need to make sure you remove you know, the craft and not additional curse. If you remove additional curse, then you need to do suffixes cannot be changed and reforge caster and go again. And then now what you want to do is block a prefix. So the prefixes you want to block, there's quite a few here, but one, for example, is block attack damage. So this is one that you can block and then you unveil. So over here, you want to choose increase max life, ideally. This is the best one, or gain life as extra ES. That's the best one you want to do here. And then afterwards, you just want to craft on your bench, your prefixes, and there should be gain % life as extra ES. And we use this. This is a really important craft for the build. Otherwise, normally you just craft life, but this is better than life for the build. So that's why we're doing that. Okay, so that's how you make the chest piece, and I hope this was in-depth enough for you. The only problem is that the suffix you get is what you get, and that is that. There's nothing else you can really do about that, unfortunately. But yeah, this is whatever suffix you get will multiply the price of your chest piece a lot. Like for example, my one would be worth quite a little bit because it's got really good spell suppression. And that's what really matters for this build as well. It's very important, and you don't have to get spell suppression so much on the tree with this. So yeah, that is the body armor. I hope it was in-depth enough for you guys. Okay, now we'll go into the gloves. So the gloves aren't optimal. We only basically you only want to use these gloves if you're running juiced content. You don't want to run these gloves if you're just, you know, doing Alk and Go maps, because it's not really justified. So if you're just going Alk and Go maps and you're just doing like Cyrus farming or something, what you want to do is actually use a Painseeker. Painseeker is really strong for this build, and this one that I got here, I'm selling it for cheap now, so guys, buy it fast if you really want it. But yeah, this is a really good one. It's got LE weakness and the lightning res on it for free basically, and it's really strong. So yeah, this is really good. Painseeker is optimal, and LE weakness is also optimal. And if you run Painseeker, you don't have to invest so much on the tree with non-ailment effect. So that's something else to consider as well. But yeah, only use Painseeker if you're Alk and Go. Use Ascendancy if you're not Alk and Go. If you're doing like juice content like Nemesis 3, or you're just running like really juice content for some reason, or whatever. Also build like content like Expedition or Blight. Explode is super good. So I would really recommend it if you're doing Blight and Expedition as well. So stick to Ascendancy, but it's a bit more expensive. If you're on a budget, just go for Painseeker. You'll be completely fine. Now, the reason we don't have an LE weakness corrupt on Ascendancy is simply because we don't have a space for an additional curse, and then we'd have to use our Anoint, which I don't think it's worth because Vengeance Cascade is really strong. And yeah, next off we have the Stygian Vice. So Stygian Vice is super easy to make. You want to get a Hunter 86 Stygian Vice over here. And then you want to use a bunch of pristine fossils. You want to spam pristine fossils until you hit life, percent life, and maybe some resists. And over here, I hit an empty prefix so I could craft elemental damage with attacks as well. And then finally, let's go into the boots. I'll teach you guys how to make these boots as well. They're actually, they're okay to make. So they're also quite expensive as well. And if you can't afford these, just go for resists instead. And just life without elusive. But if you have a bit more budget, you can get elusive on them, and they're really, really nice. All right, so let me teach you how to get these boots. All right, guys, now I'm going to be showing you how to make the boots. They're really, really easy to make. And first off, you want to search for two-tone boots over here, and then you want to make a search of about 140 rares and 1 empty prefix. Once you do that, you'll get a bunch of results. Now, the boots that you want ideally is the Dex and Int version over here. And something like this is really good. It's only 70C, and you can see the resists are pretty good. Now, this actually has an empty prefix, as you can see here, so this is a perfect choice. And you need an empty prefix so you can redeem it, exalt, slam it for the influence. This base also works because this prefix is crafted. You can just remove the craft and slam the redeemer exalt on it. So I've got an example boots over here that you'll have, sorry. And this is a good example that you can get for about 70 to 100C. Maybe a bit more because the res on these ones are a bit better. So what you want to do once you have this with an empty prefix is use a Redeemer's Exalt Slam on it. And then once you've done that, you're going to have to go to the Harvest and then go to Other and Reforge Keep Suffixes. And you need to do this to open up a prefix so you can do suffixes cannot be changed. So once you have this, you want to go to your bench and you want to go to prefixes and you want to go to suffixes cannot be changed. Now, once you've done that, you want to reroll critical. And once you've done that, you need to make sure that you reroll it without any other prefixes. In this case, we hit 35 move speed, so you'd probably just sell the boots and make another one. But say, for example, that you didn't hit that, then you just get this. And for example, if you hit a double prefix with elusive, say for example this happened, then you're going to have to go to the harvesting and you're going to have to reforge keep suffixes again, and then suffixes cannot be changed, and then go reroll crit again. Okay, now once you've done this, you're in a good step, but you might still need to do some gambling. So what happens here is that you're going to have to click suffixes cannot be changed or craft it, and now you want to do an Aisling Veil. Now this is a 50-50 chance. You may remove suffixes cannot be changed or you may remove elusive. Now, it's a 50-50. Ideally, you need to remove suffixes cannot be changed. If you don't remove suffixes cannot be changed, then you're going to have to reroll crit again to get elusive again, and then Aisling Veil again. So this is what the ideal scenario is. And what you want to do here is block a prefix. So a good prefix you can block maybe is the Armor, Evasion, Energy Shield, and Hybrid Life. And then once you do this, you want to unveil movement speed. Any movement speed you get, whether it's onslaught, chill, or extra move speed if you haven't been hit recently. Ideally you want chill because we don't have chill immunity on the build. We only have freeze immunity through the Pantheon. So yeah, and then after that you just want to remove this, go to your bench, prefixes, and you just want to craft a life to finish off the boots, and you can keep spamming it until you hit 70 life. But yeah, this is how you make the elusive resist boots. Okay, I am now very tired explaining a lot of crafting. So now we'll go into the rest. So now you're probably wondering, what's going on with the budget stuff and, all of that. Now, if you guys want a budget stuff, then let me know and make sure you subscribe so I can basically, notify you when it's out and all that. Also consider joining the Discord server because I will be posting updates on there as well and responding to any problems you guys are dealing with. But yeah, the flasks are the same as last league. Dying Sun, Sin's Rebirth for Ignite, and Taste of Hate is damage and defense, so it's really, really good. Quicksilver of Cheetah, whatever, it's T1 move speed, and then Anti-Bleed Flask over here. I've been pretty much using this flask on every single build right now. But yeah, the last thing to cover, I guess, is this Abyss Jewel. It's got life, multi, and accuracy, and you actually need accuracy here for me, so you can see that it goes to 100 with that, which is nice. Okay, so that is the gear, and now I'll go into the links quickly. So what was I testing in the body armor, first of all? Now, in this body armor, I was testing Barrage. I thought Barrage would be really interesting and really strong with Vengeance Cascade and everything, but it ended up not being so good, so I just decided to ditch Barrage completely, and then we're just using Tornado Shot. So, Tornado Shot, GMP, Trinity, Bloodthirst, Awakened Vicious Projectile. This isn't an expensive support gem, and it gives a lot of damage. And you might be thinking the less projectile attack speed is bad, but you don't really feel it because we have a double attack speed quiver as well, especially on my build. But if you don't like this, you can go for Awakened Elemental Damage with attacks. That's second to best with the damage on this, so just go for that instead. And then finally, we're using a Divergent Inspiration for reduced mana cost, because our mana is a little bit of a problem. In the Ascendancy chant, we have over here Culling Strike, Sniper's Mark, Life Tap, and Hydrosphere. We run Life Tap because the mana cost is being really annoying. So basically with the trigger stuff, everything is costing more mana. So for it to be split on some life as well is really nice. You'll notice that if you don't use Life Tap here, you end up running out of mana, which is really annoying. The attack rate is too fast. So yeah, I tried out the Tornado skill gem. Where is it? Over here on the I put it somewhere here, I don't know, the Tornado. So this skill gem is actually really bad. I don't like it. The Tornado moves too slowly, and it collects your projectiles and basically makes you lose a little bit of damage. And it's supposed to be, it's supposed to collect your projectiles and do damage, but I feel like it's too slow. So I like the way it moves, and I know you can get like more move speed on the quality and levels, but I don't know. It used too much mana as well. I just didn't like it at all. But if you guys are finding success with it, that's really good. I still like Hydrosphere. It's still just much better in my opinion. And you can use both as well if you want. I've tried it as well. I just don't like it at all. And then we'll go into the links here. On the gloves, we're using Herald of Purity, Arrogance. Now, I'm waiting for this to get level 20 Arrogance, because that would allow me to overleech. Right now, I've got exactly half of my life reserved. But the one level on Arrogance is going to basically give me 51% unreserved mana. And the quality is really important. It gives you life reservation efficiency, and this makes it so that you don't have to use enlightened support, which is really, really nice. And then we got Vitality level 1, and we're not going to be leveling this Vitality. Then we have Flame Dash over here, level 1 as well. You want to make sure that stuff like Hydrosphere, Flame Dash, Sniper's Monk needs to be level 20, but Culling Strike, all of this stuff is like level 1, so it doesn't use extra mana. And then we have Steel Skin on level 20 on left click. It's just a very nice additional defensive boost. We got Petrified Blood, Grace, and Precision at level 21. So those are the auras. We're using Grace to scale our evasion a lot. As you can see here, we have 71% chance to evade, 100% spell suppression chance. This is what makes us super tanky, as well as Petrified Blood, which also makes us tanky. We're using the alt quality. Now, I don't know if this alt quality is that good, but it feels kind of good compared to the normal one, so I'm just using it. But yeah, that is the links covered very briefly. And now I'll go into the tree and what the heck is happening over here, because there were so many things that I tried. So first I want to go into the Ascendancy and explain that chain is really bad if you're running Vengeance Cascade. Basically, if you want to run chain, that's completely fine, but just change your anoint, because Vengeance Cascade is useless if you have chain for bossing. So this is the thing, right? The only way Vengeance Cascade's projectiles return to you is if other things like chain, like pierce, like fork are already complete. So for example, if you have +1 chain, the projectile has to chain before it comes back to you. So on a boss, there's nothing for the projectiles to chain to. So this would make your single target really, really bad on bossing if you take this with Vengeance Cascade. So I'd recommend if you take chain and you prefer it, then change your anoint to tenacity, change it to lethality, just anything that gives damage or life. Just don't use Vengeance Cascade, because it's a useless anoint on bossing if you just take chain, because it has to chain before it comes back to you. Okay, so I tested this and it is very true. If you take chain and use Vengeance Cascade on a boss without any other monsters around, the damage is really bad. So I don't recommend that at all. But yeah, if you want to use chain, just make sure to change the anoint to something else. Okay, Focal point is insane. It gives a lot of damage. Now, the reason why focal point is insane is not only that it gives a lot of damage, but it says 25% less damage taken from other enemies near your marked enemy. This is a huge defensive boost in stuff like Scourge, in stuff like Delirium, because your mark is going to be near you all the time in that content, and you're going to be taking 25% less damage around your marks. So that's really, really strong. The rest is standard, just fast shot and additional projectiles and gathering winds. Okay, so let's get into the tree. I'm going to hide the Ascendancy now so you can see this as well. But yeah, let's get into what's going on here. So we part down and we take the life over here, and then we take some increased evasion. Now you can ditch this increased evasion and go here if you want. It's up to you. You save 2 points and it might be worth it, but I'm scaling evasion anyway and this feels kind of fine. And then you go up here for Heart of Oak. We go and take the quick step for the spell suppression and move speed, intuition for life and spell suppression, and then we go here in herbalism and take the life mastery, and then we go up here and we take the precision reduced or increased reservation efficiency, and then we go and take a lethal pride. Now my lethal pride isn't insane at all. We just have some fire res, melee multi didn't matter, some max life, fortification which doesn't matter, Warcry buff effect is bad, and then reduce extra damage from crit strikes is okay, and then we have regen life. So it's a very defensive more than offensive lethal pride, and it's up to you what you want to do with that. You can divine it for something better if you want, but I actually need the fire res on here as well, so I'm not really bothered about divining it. And then we go ahead and take Master Fletcher and King of the Hill with phasing on kill, and it gives 8% move speed while phasing, which is really nice. We go here and we take the Heartseeker with increased effect of non-damaging ailments you inflict with crits. This plus this mastery allows us to ditch Painseeker altogether, so we don't need to run Painseeker anymore, which is really, really nice. And then we go here and we take the spell suppression. You can take the mastery as well. I was thinking of taking the prevent plus 2% of suppressed spell damage because it's actually really good, but I'm still debating on that. I took the life for now. Okay, the cluster is the same as before. We got Fuel the Fight, Martial Prowess, and Feed the Fury. We're using Repeater and Streamlined instead of the crit ones this time. Repeat and Streamlined is really, really nice. It gives us a lot of damage, and actually I can't remember if we were using the crit one last time, but Repeat and Streamlined is optimal. And then we use Secrets of Suffering, of course. And now the Watcher's Eye is a very defensive one. We just have life gain on hit with Grace Evade Chance. The Grace Evade Chance is actually quite strong, so I would recommend using that because it basically gives you 8 flat evade chance no matter what happens. No matter how much evade you have, it will just give you 8 evade chance like that. And the life gain on hit is really important for vitality. It helps with survivability quite a bit. We go here and we take Revenge of the Hunted as well for some life. We go up here, take Blood Drinker with Vitality Reservation. Even though we're only running a level 1 Vitality, to get 51% without Enlighten, we need that. So yeah. Now we go into the Claw nodes, which is really, really good. And we take this with a Lionized Fall, of course, which basically gives us insane amounts of damage. And then we take this Mastery to get life and mana gain on hit to help a bit with mana, and life gain on hit is always really nice. Now we use Dagger Mastery. We don't use a Dagger Mastery because we don't have the points, and normally you take Culling Strike, but we don't need Culling Strike since we take it on there. And as you can see here, these nodes are just completely insane. They just give so much damage. And then finally we take Ghost Dance. So Ghost Dance is super strong if you have some ES, which we do have over here. We have 815. So it's just an additional layer of defense, and we have a decent amount of evasion, so we're gaining our ES back pretty nicely. And now finally I will be going into over here. We just have a Corrupted Blood Jewel with life and increased damage. It's like 1 exalt. We go up here, we take Profane Chemistry for life. We take Major Bane because of spell suppression. This gives us about 20%. We go up here and we take the evasion plus spell suppression, really important. And then we take the evasion mastery, which gives us grace, has increased reservation, mana efficiency, whatever. Okay, so this is a really cool unnatural instinct. Now, if you don't need resist, then path up this way instead of this way. But I need resist, as you can see. I dropped to 70, 72. But if you can fix your resists, then path this way so you get the projectile damage. But as you can see, this Unnatural Instinct is giving insane amounts of juice, right? So you got attack speed, we got a bit of life, we got resists, we got projectile damage, and we got increased physical damage. And we have move speed over here, 9% move speed, attack speed, projectile damage, fizz damage, fizz damage, fizz damage, fizz damage. It's a really good unnatural. You don't have to run it if you don't want to, but it's really, really strong. And then we go here and we take Constitution because we're already here. We might as well spend 4 points to take Constitution. And yep, that is the build complete. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a while to get out. I'd really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. And if you want the POBs, they will all be in my Discord server. I'll be posting future POBs in there as well. So I'm just going to have a few, like a whole channel or like texting channel, just going to show all my POBs for all my builds. It'll be easier because I can update them there as well, because a lot of things get outdated. And if you guys have any questions and stuff, let me know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.